Hello, you're tuning into 15-minute bulletin of Vietnam News Agency. I'm Ngọc Lee from Hanoi, and now let's take a look at our headlines as usual. Apparel firms challenge bond material shortages. Electron Da Nang strives to become child-friendly city. Let's begin our bulletin with the most prominent events of the week from June 14th to 20th.
Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng and President of Sri Lanka Gotabaya Rajapaksa held phone talks on June 14th. The party leaders expressed his hope that Sri Lanka will soon contain the COVID-19 pandemic and restore the national economy, adding that Vietnam stands ready to share experience with Sri Lanka in the pandemic combat. The party leaders suggested the two countries continue with mutual consultations and support at regional and international organizations. President Rajapaksa voiced his hope that the two sides will forge their cooperation to overcome their present challenges such as diseases and climate change, while expanding cooperative areas to serve economic recovery after the pandemic. Chairman of the National Assembly Vương Đình Huệ on June 17th held online talks with Chairman of the Chinese National People's Congress Standing Committee Li Jianshu, where the top legislators discussed measures to strengthen the Vietnam-China relations. Huệ suggested both countries enhance economic and political trust and make efforts to handle pending projects. Li expressed his willingness to work together with the Vietnamese legislature in realizing the cooperative agreement between the two legislative bodies. Li suggested observation of high-level common perceptions in maintaining maritime peace and stability and implementing the declaration of the conduct of parties in the East Sea, soon reaching a code of conduct in the East Sea. A Vietnamese delegation led by Minister of National Defense Senior Lieutenant General Phan Van Giang attended the 15th ASEAN Defense Ministers Meeting ADMM on June 15th and the 8th ASEAN Defense Ministers Meeting Plus ADMM Plus on June 16th. Participants at the 15th ADMM adopted a declaration which highlighted parties' commitment to forging peaceful and constructive cooperation to turn the East Sea into one of peace, stability, and prosperity via full and effective implementation of the Declaration on the Conduct of Parties in the East Sea towards soon reaching a practical and effective code of conduct in the East Sea in line with international law, including the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. One day later, the 8th ADMM Plus was held, where delegates discussed the security situation in the world and region, especially traditional and non-traditional security challenges that directly affect the region, and evaluate the results of cooperation within the ADMM Plus framework of the past time. Vietnam have made history as they advanced to the third round of the World Cup qualifiers for the first time ever after a 5-goal thriller against the hosts, United Arab Emirates, on June 15th local time. Though they fell to a 3-2 defeat away to the UAE and lost top spot in Group G, Vietnam advanced as one of the 5 best group runners-up. Vietnam defeated Indonesia 4-0 and Malaysia 2-1 in previous fixtures as the second qualifying resumed this month. They are the sole representatives of Southeast Asia among the squads qualifying for the final round, which is slated for September.
The disbursement of public investment was slow in the first 5 months of this year, meaning greater effort was needed to push up progress, as such investment is an important driver for post-pandemic economic recovery. With nearly $1.9 billion for 61 projects, the Ministry of Transport is among the ministries and agencies with the largest allocation of public investment this year. However, the ministry is seeing slower than expected disbursement. Statistics from the ministry showed that as of the end of May, it had disbursed around $580 million, equivalent to around 32% of the plan for the whole year. According to the ministry, the progress failed to meet the plan because most projects were focusing on conducting procedures for implementation in the first months of this year, and disbursement was expected to be sped up in the second half. Despite the difficulties caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, shrimp exports by Mekong Delta provinces have been strong this year thanks to efforts made by both authorities and businesses.
According to the Vietnam Association of Seafood Exporters and Producers, exports were worth some $3.3 billion in the first 5 months, up 14% year-on-year, of which shrimp exports accounted for nearly $1.3 billion, an increase of 14%. The exports went to over 120 markets, with the US, Japan, EU, China, Korea, ASEAN, and Australia being the largest markets. Demand for shrimp had increased significantly in many markets, while supply from India, Thailand, and some other countries had fallen due to COVID-19, it said. According to seafood businesses, shrimp exports to the U.S. continue to boom this year, and they also expect to increase exports to the EU.
The COVID-19 pandemic has adversely impacted industrial production, including garments and textiles. Material shortages have proven to be the most pressing of the challenges facing local apparel sector.
According to industry insiders, a reliance on imports had led to a shortage of raw materials. That is the greatest challenge facing domestic garment and textile companies, given the unpredictable nature of the COVID-19 pandemic.
The first solution to this problem is adjusting the production plans in line with the actual situation. Secondly, we recommend companies seek local suppliers and diversify their import sources so they do not rely on the restaurant market.
Industry insiders say seeking raw material sources is not easy, and many companies now indeed turning to local suppliers. Their raw materials, however, are more expensive than imports.
Material supplies are now an obstacle not only for Chien Thang Garment but also for every company in the apparel sector, as we are very much dependent on China. We had to switch to domestic supplies at higher prices to fulfill customer orders.
The recent free trade agreements Vietnam has signed have been praised as giving a huge boost to garment and textile exports. However, full advantage can only be taken when the sector's localization rate significantly improves from the current humble figure of just 60%.
This time has strengthened our determination to develop domestic supply chains and remove the bottlenecks facing Vietnam's apparel sector.
The pandemic has revealed bottlenecks in material supplies facing local garment and textile companies. Experts have recommended the government take these bottlenecks into consideration when building the strategy for the garment and textile sector development in the 2035-2040 period.
Vietnamese tourists have expressed their wish to choose ecotourism, limit single-use plastic on flights, and encourage financial rewards for accommodation facilities that maximize energy efficiency towards more sustainable tourism to the post-COVID-19 period. This is part of the results of a survey on sustainable tourism trends just released by Agoda. The World Miles Awards 2021 is a category of the prestigious World Travel Awards. This is also the category that the Ho Chi Minh City won in 2020. The World Miles Awards were launched in 2020, aiming to promote the growth and innovation of miles tourism on a global scale by honoring leading organizations and destinations with fairness and transparency in the rules and voting. Voting results will be announced on November 1st, 2021. With a favorable investment and business environment, Ho Chi Minh City has long been a good choice for organizers of international conferences and meetings. The destination is equipped with some admirable establishments for meeting and exhibition all seasons, which meet all international standards. The central city of Da Nang aims to become a child-friendly city in line with international standards by 2030.
Chairman of Da Nang Municipal People's Committee Lê Trung Chính has approved and issued an action program for children for the 2021-2030 period with many practical activities. Local children in special and difficult circumstances who need social support and vulnerable children in the city will be the target group of the program. Accordingly, the city will focus on giving the best care to our children in terms of health and nutrition, protecting them from abuse, violence, exploitation and trafficking, and supporting them in accessing quality education services and healthy entertainment. Da Nang is working to ensure all children under 1 year are fully vaccinated with 8 types of vaccines, as well as every child can access clean water at home and school by 2025.
46 years after national reunification, the Trường Sa or Spratly archipelago now wears a new shirt, featuring not only the blue of the sea but also the green of trees and vegetables planted and cared for by soldiers. On the islands of Sông Tử Tây, Sơn Ca, Nam Yết, and Sinh Tồn, 4 trees of more than 300 years of age have been recognized by the Vietnamese Association for the Conservation of Nature and the Environment as Vietnamese heritage trees.
Despite wind and waves, Trường Sa Island District has many types of trees that have adapted to the harsh climate or growing conditions on coral reefs. Among these, the phong ba tree is planted around the island to shelter it from strong winds and waves and to provide shade for soldiers resting between training. In the center of Sông Tử Tây Island is a phong ba tree with a diameter equal to the arm spans of 2 people. The tree has a lumpy trunk and white silver leaves. It is the oldest in the Trường Sa archipelago and a fitting symbol of Vietnam's sovereignty over one of the country's most vulnerable regions.
Recognized as a Vietnam heritage, the tree has special value in terms of history, culture, biology, and environment. It is clear evidence of Vietnam's sovereignty, having been nurtured by our predecessors for so long.
Nam Yết Island is known for a century-old bang vuông or square-foot Malabar almond tree, with 8 trunks growing out of its root and with roots rising out of the ground 100 meters from the tree.
We feel honored and proud because the tree represents our sovereignty and our determination to protect Vietnam's sacred land and also encourage soldiers and residents to follow national traditions.
In addition to 1 phong ba and 1 bang vuông tree, there are 2 mù u, or colorful trees, on Sơn Ca and Sinh Tồn Islands, recognized as heritage trees by the Vietnamese Association for the Conservation of Nature and the Environment. Both are over 300 years old.
On Trường Sa archipelagos are 4 recognized heritage trees that have been nurtured for hundreds of years. We are always keen to take care of the trees so that they stay green forever, because they are also a milestone in our sacred sovereignty.
Trường Sa is developing steadily. The flexibility and vitality of the trees on the archipelago not only carry historical, cultural, and biological significance, but also symbolize the resilient spirit of the Vietnamese people and the soldiers defending national territorial waters.
And it's also wrapped up our news bulletin. Thank you for tuning in. And see you next time.